Nikki. All right, it is 5:06, and I call this meeting to order. Let's start with a roll call. Alex?
Alex Robinette.
Brian Ryder.
Jay Van Bavel.
And Dave Bench. And our next thing is we're asking for public comments. Has anybody signed up to do public comments here, Desiree? Okay. All right, the folks that are in the audience, I appreciate your being here. Hope you enjoy the proceedings. Next we have, next we have the consent agenda. Do we have a motion around the consent agenda? Has everybody had a chance to look at the meeting minutes from last time?
I didn't look at them.
You wouldn't be amazed, they're pretty much.
Make a motion, we approve the meetings minutes from last time.
I'll second. So we can move on.
All right, got a motion to approve, it's been seconded. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes from last time, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry, 4-0. Discussion, emails. We have not gotten any emails since October 6th that I'm aware of. Does anybody know of any emails that came to us or CRC or anything? Desiree, do we know of any emails? Okay, all right.
Do we have any instantaneous feedback from the cards going out and people having the live poll?
Are you asking, did you get any comments from the people out there?
Questions?
I got many comments.
I've talked to a few people and they were glad to see the opportunity to do something. I'm just wondering how many have jumped on the opportunity and have actually done the poll.
You know what, my standard response to everyone was, whenever they were thanking me, was, you can thank me best by sitting down and doing this survey as soon as we're done talking. And they said they would, so.
On question on emails, do those get distributed to the committee members or just to you?
Yes,
or?
no, that we have an email address that people send to, and we all see it. It just hasn't happened since you've been on the group. But there are a number of emails that are out there that are now available. I think there's 76, I think that's what it is. And you certainly can go back and look at them.
If you go back into the agenda packets that are posted for the previous meetings, you can see all of the emails. You can click on that link and it will show you all. I can show you how later.
You just have to go to each meeting's minutes.
Actually, it's cumulative, so you won't have
Oh,
to,
it is.
if you look at the most recent, it'll show all of them, right? Or,
No, they're like, how we've been reading it, it's like this would have been from October 6th to today.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go back to the meetings, but you haven't been around for that long. But there's one that has like 70-something emails, and there's one that has like 3, and one that has 10.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, but yeah, and you'll find them pretty interesting. They started out kind of evenly distributed between people wanting us to do something and people not wanting us to do things. And then as time went on, there were more and more people who really wanted us to do stuff. So I would have to say it's lopsided in favor
And we
of action.
tabulated that as well.
Yeah.
We took the emails and we broke them into groups of people that said, yes, do something. A group that said, well, yeah, maybe, but be cautious, move carefully, and then a group that said no. But the majority said do something,
Yeah.
look at it.
Yes.
I was surprised in my walking around the neighborhood to pass out the cards at how many places are under construction right now.
There are many.
That I didn't have
Yeah.
a front door to go knock on.
Yes.
Or a mailbox to put a note on or whatever, but and most of them are along in the process. I didn't
Yeah.
see anything new that had come around. Nikki, have we had any starts recently?
Not actual new building starts. We've got a few new demolitions coming along, but
Okay.
So it's going to stay on the posted agenda item as well. So.
All right. Okay. Well, it's kind of related, but Okay.
I guess I jumped to number 4 for you by asking.
Actually, that's right. In a update and discussion, if we are finished with that, we don't have any new emails, but update and discussion and possible action. Item number 4. Thank you. And possible action on survey progress and course corrections. And I would hope that we could have Sarah stand up and maybe get. Do you know how many have completed?
I do.
The moment everyone's been waiting for.
That's right.
All right. So on our surveys, we have 58 completed surveys to
Okay.
date.
58?
58. That's
Okay.
correct.
That's
I was hoping for 100, but okay.
We do have 26 incomplete surveys. So we're able to track if somebody fills out just a few of the questions,
Uh-huh.
but hasn't gone through and submitted their full answers yet.
Yeah.
We're able to track that. So we do have 26. So total, we've had about 84 people who have at least started the survey.
Good.
not
We do
far
have
from your
that.
number, Dave.
Oh,
Not
sorry.
too bad.
It's the same, Dave, it's not far from your number, although I don't know that that number has a particular meaning, does it?
I just would have liked, 100. We're hoping for 400.
Yes.
We'll accept 200. And if we can get, if we were a quarter of the way there right now, after 2 days, I'd feel pretty good about it.
The 26 that were incomplete, do they get any kind of reminder or saying, call back?
No, because we don't have, we didn't require like a login or emails, so we can't go back and contact them. So it's on them to either go back and complete the survey. We do have that note in there about being able to return at any time, which is true.
Okay.
So they may just not have completed it yet, or as they kind of started going through it, they might have fell off.
Okay. In addition to those, there were 2 paper copies that left here today.
Oh, great.
Oh.
So we do have 2 in addition,
Okay.
or at least that are being worked.
And usually when you do a survey like this, I think you get the big response right at the beginning, and then it really tails off. Is that your experience?
Yeah, we've seen you kind of get it at the beginning and then you get it at the end if you get some reminders out. And so, not sure if it's on the agenda today, but happy to discuss potential outreach as well.
Well, this is actually part of the same thing. Where
Okay.
we're at is this possible, the discussion of possible action with survey progress and course corrections.
Mm-hmm.
And I, stew into that, whatever it is that we can do to, instigate additional response. We have, Alex has put out, I know, 2 notes on the women's group so far, and also a next door.
Yep.
Present. I put
Can
a thing out on the gentlemen's club, a reminder, and Jeff came in behind me on it. I don't know where else to go.
Kevin Glasheen has a newsletter he sends out. We could ask Kevin to put a note in that.
Yes,
He sends it out right after council
meetings,
which is
right.
on Wednesday. Will that be within our time frame?
It will not.
Okay.
Isn't Rollingwood going to send out an email blast, kind of the thing you use for to
A
elect?
wave?
What do you call it?
It's called a wave.
Yeah,
We can come to do that.
yeah. I was thinking that would be.
That's one of the items here is the emails sent out to any existing listservs yesterday. Is that going to be done?
Well, so the work back schedule that you're looking at is our recommendations, and so we just need those to be implemented. So that was one of the things I wanted to discuss today is what's been done and maybe some additional things that we can do.
Right.
So sending it out to listservs, you mentioned there's multiple people that have maybe community newsletters. I think sending them out through that would be great. You also mentioned you've received a number of emails from residents about comments related to code. And so have everyone that's shared an email then received an email with the survey link. I think that would be another good place, making sure that they have those links.
I think if there's a way to get it to as many Rollingwood residents as possible in an email form with a link that they can just click on it. Because believe it or not, entering in a link.
Yeah,
The
most
first
people.
time I did it, I didn't get it right, you know.
On this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I think any email lists that are available that we're able to reach out to would be good. I'm not sure what list the city has that we'd be able to utilize. I know in the past we've done things, and because we're on a kind of a compressed timeline, but things like utility bill inserts or putting out information in the Picayune.
I just got a note from Kevin Glasheen saying he enjoyed taking the survey. I'll send out my email early this month so I can include a reminder before the deadline.
Oh, that would be nice.
It goes to 500 addresses, he said.
Is he listening?
I don't think we have any.
No, but he knows this meeting is going on. So,
It is posted on the city website as well, and they can just click on the link there, it takes them directly to the city.
But if he has 500 email addresses, then he has most of the city.
he probably has a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm on it, so.
I'm on it too, that's why I suggested.
Uh-huh.
And you mentioned it's already been posted to Nextdoor. I would do a reminder as we get closer towards the end of the survey window. One of the things we have talked about was also passing out postcards during trunk or treat or trick or treat, trying to reach additional people that way. We've already done the block walking. Any additional social media, so whether that's Facebook, I think, is probably the best bet for sharing the survey out. That's something that if the city might be able to do, or if you have your own social media networks or somebody that you know that has a kind of a larger following on social media.
Does Rollingwood have a Facebook page that a notice of this could be posted on that? And would it have a link that they could directly?
We probably could do that.
I think
Would it
that's-
be helpful to share based on what we've already shared? Is that good enough, or do you need some additional information for the Facebook post?
If you're okay with the same wording, we can just use that exactly on Facebook as well. We also have LinkedIn, the city.
I,
I think that would be good.
I don't know what else we would do with the wording, it's fine.
And all these extra cards, could they be handed out at the trunk or treat, perhaps?
Yes, they can.
Mhm.
They
I mean, these are spare. There are 50 here that were held back, just for whatever reason anybody might need one. Yeah, okay, and you're keeping them up. Shanti had suggested that we have a card put on the bulletin board out here, and there's that behind the glass presentation thing that is out there in the park, if we could get the front and the back of a card on that as well. I thought that was a good idea. Ideas.
I do think hitting up some of the email listservs is going to be a good idea. Beyond block walking, we've seen things like yard signs where you can put a QR code on the yard sign and people can scan it.
Right.
I don't know if you think that would be useful in the community, or if it's more likely that people will click on the email
I think
and take the
email
survey that
is
way.
a different
I
way
think,
to
yeah, I
approach
think
it.
an email with a blue attachment you can click on is the key to get higher responses.
Yeah, I
From
like
old
the
coders
idea.
like me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I like the idea of going back to all the people that have written emails already and following up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to try and tackle that.
For that, you could probably use similar copy to what we've been using for a lot of like the social media or website, and then just BCC most of the people, so that unless you'd like to do the one-on-one responses.
No,
Okay.
I'm just gonna do one big.
Yeah.
Yeah, in all BCC, yeah.
I mean, it would be nice if an email list could go out, not linked to one particular council person, because, you know, not everybody probably opens those emails.
Well, there are other newsletters. We could ask. What do you think? Excuse me. I will ask. I'll ask. All right. Would you mind? Is that okay?
I'm gonna abstain from comment.
Okay. All right. Closer. All right. I'm probably going to put a reminder out on the Gentlemen's Club thing here in the next day or so. It's worth noting that we delivered 446 of these cards, best I can tell, which is a sizable number. Even the people up in Tremont were excited about getting these, the ones that I spoke with. So the response that I've gotten so far was pretty positive. There was certainly nobody who was not glad to see that I was there. So I'm hoping that they've got the cards, they fill it out, see what they do.
I had a few that thought I was selling something, just so.
Yeah, you can get that a lot during block walking. So having the different channels to be able to reach people, I think, is helpful.
Okay. Well, is there any more to say about where we are right now?
No, the nice thing about the software we're using is we are able to see responses as they come in, kind of troubleshoot anything that might be an issue, and then it really should be, once we close the survey,
Okay.
pretty quick to be able to share results.
Okay. Let's sum up. We're going to get an entry into Facebook. We're going to
Ask
get Kevin to put
a note
blurb
on
in
saying,
his
please
thing.
fill in your
All right.
survey, and ask him to put a link in there.
All right.
Put a live link in
Okay,
there,
I'll
so-
ask him to do that. Put a link in there. He's actually listening to us right now. Evidently.
And then Rollingwood is
He's
gonna
dialed
send
in.
out
Yeah, he's dialed in.
notification. I'm gonna follow up with the emails that if people have sent in an email,
Right.
I will send them a notice as well.
There's a Rowanwood Women's Club meeting tonight, and Claire's going to at
One
least
thing
spread the
that
word
was-
as best she can.
One thing that was not on the card was this, that 2 people per household could do the survey. So if there was an email that went out, maybe that could be.
Saying both of the couple can answer.
Well, that's almost right. I think what we're saying is please no more than 2 per household. It doesn't necessarily mean that we need 2 per household.
But it doesn't say that on the card anywhere or on
No,
the survey.
no, it
I
doesn't.
think it does though in the write-up.
In the survey, at the
Yeah.
top of the survey, it does say.
Okay, in the survey itself.
Yeah, the survey, in the paragraph that opens, it kind of lays out what we're hoping you'll do. So,
Probably adequate.
okay. So those are the action items we got. Okay. All right. Thanks, Sarah. I think it looks good. The one thing I noticed, and I only noticed this whenever I was taking the survey myself, was that the graphic that shows the way we measure building height right now is not in there. It's not in the survey.
There isn't a graphic. Oh, meaning we
Yeah,
didn't make one.
the 10 feet of forgiveness
I thought you
graphic.
did.
Yeah, it's not in there. It's in the paper
Oh.
copy. It's everywhere else, but
Wet.
it's not. It somehow didn't get into the.
Well, we can add it.
If you can and it not hurt anything, it'd be great.
I think we might just need it. I don't think we have that
I
final
think
graphic.
You made it, and so you.
No, you made it better.
No, that's still your graphic. It's just the.
All right,
black
I'll send
line
it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you can just identify where it goes in the survey.
All right, I will. Okay. That'll be to you this evening.
And then one additional thing, Alex, I know you had asked about being able to maybe jump back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with our account with SurveyMonkey, you aren't able to do that, so you do have to kind of just tab back to the beginning
Yeah, that's
to
fine.
review the results.
Thanks for checking.
Yeah.
I'm curious, are you able to tell how many people are making additional comments that are taking the survey?
Yeah, we are able to see all the comments that get uploaded.
I'm just curious how many people that have taken it already are taking the time and effort to make comments.
I would say pretty much everybody.
Are you looking at them right now?
I am. Well, maybe I should take that back. Yeah, I would say a good amount of people have been providing comments.
Great.
Good. Good. Sounds like things are moving along. I'm glad.
Mhm.
You know, I should take a second to at least publicly acknowledge that, you know, we had gotten help from planning and zoning and distributing these things from Greg DeMoss and Mike Rhodes. They were most helpful in getting this out there, and I do appreciate the cooperation of this committee to get these things out. And a big shout out to Shanti. She was just superhuman in the effort that she had put into it and getting these things together. I don't know. She put punched holes in 600 or 550 things we've got, and put rubber bands in them and all of that. And I'm eternally grateful to her for all that hard work. She's just been amazing. Been an amazing resource. So anyway, thanks to everyone for the participation, and I think we got a good start on this, and I think we're ready to move on to the next thing.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah. We're moving on to agenda item 5, discussion and possible action regarding a survey analysis subcommittee. I'd had some discussion with Jeff on this, and just kind of point blank asked him if he was prepared to lead a subcommittee that would do the analysis for whatever comes out of this post November 5th. And he said that he wanted to participate, but he was not positioned to be able to lead it. So I asked him point blank, I says, okay, you're a numbers guy, can you do at least the numeric analysis of the yes/no questions and stuff without getting into the comment section, just so we kind of have a real quick response. He said he would do it, and he has resources available to him that I don't think we do otherwise, tools, people, all of that can knock this out pretty quickly. I'm asking the group now, and maybe I probably ought to be asking, or at least putting it into your mind, that I think that we ought to have a survey subcommittee, and that subcommittee probably will spend more time trying to figure out what the comments mean more than anything else. Just kind of sifting. I can promise you this, on November 6th, I'm going to read everything that came out, everything. And but that'll just be my, I'll probably get some kind of an opinion out of that, but I don't want to be the be-all, end-all in it. I really want us to sit down with a group of folks and figure out what it is we think we're hearing from this group.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to start to organize like each question into a subset, very likely, and we won't know what that is until we start reading it, but people will start to say things about height, and
Right.
we can kind of make subgroupings and figure out how many people are saying roughly.
Finding the commonalities and things,
Yeah.
and then grouping them, yeah. Does anybody who's now here at the meeting, do you have any preference to be on such a thing?
I'm willing to put in the time and help, but I was a history major.
Okay. That might actually be very helpful. I don't know.
Analyze the results of people's actions.
Well, I think
Okay.
to a certain degree.
Biology?
we'll probably all have to read through the comments. I mean, I'm gonna be.
I think
Yeah.
that's best.
Yeah.
And I guess we could actually hold off on this establishment
Yeah,
of
it might be a
subcommittee,
committee
provided
of the
that
whole.
Jeff gets us, I really do think, I'd like to get almost immediately some sort of a numeric analysis of, the yes, no's, should we be going forward, shouldn't we be going forward kind of stuff, where are the hot spots, what are people thinking?
I assume some of that'll start with you guys. You'll tabulate it and then.
Well, I don't think that's in your, it's
Oh.
okay with me if you do it, but it's not in your contract. I thought that we were going to do all the analysis ourselves.
Oh, okay.
Sarah, play, yeah, by all means. We ought to get you a high chair.
So we will provide all the raw data in an Excel spreadsheet. As we've discussed, so removing the question related to address. And then the nice thing about SurveyMonkey, you can easily download a very user-friendly report. So you'll get everything in the Excel document, but you can also get something that downloads everything as like a pie chart, or you can have that count of yes, no, pretty easily. And I would say, looking at the scope that we have left, that is something we could absolutely do.
That would be lovely.
Mm-hmm.
If,
Okay.
in order to do that using SurveyMonkey though, and we're not allowed to have access to the address, is there any way that you can convey the data without that information in there?
Yep. Yeah, we can remove questions from the report that gets finalized, so we would just remove that question from there.
Will it be possible to link a comment to an answer? So we can understand, it may be obvious from the comment what somebody thinks, but.
Yes, you can do that. It's probably going to be a little easier to see that in the Excel sheet because all the responses are tied together in a row. So you can see if the person said yes or no, and then right next to that would be what their comment was on that response. For the report, we can also do that, but it would just be a very long report pulling each of the individual comments. But yeah, we could absolutely do that.
Could we, I don't want to necessarily get in the driver's seat here, but we actually have contracted for a copy of this, right? We're going to have an annual copy of this SurveyMonkey, or do you have the copy of SurveyMonkey that you keep for a year?
It's contracted with Rolling Wood,
Right.
but we have it under one of our emails so that we can access it.
So at some later date, if we wanted to come back and interrogate the data using that tool, would we be able to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know anything about it, but I'm not strange to it all. So.
Yeah, I think the only thing we would want to think through is, given the access to the back end, you would then have access to the addresses.
Yeah, we'd want to get rid of that.
And so we just would want to.
Yeah.
You can go in and delete individual questions, so we could probably just delete all of that data.
All right. Well, that just something to think about for later. I don't want to get into it now, but okay. All right. So you'll develop some pie charts and things like that, some general graphics.
Yep.
I really want to come in behind this pretty soon afterward and get out to the public what it is we're seeing, what these responses look like, without, making any statements about what we're going to do about it, but just saying this is what we're hearing from the public. So many percent of people think this, so many people said this or that, and, just to get it out there.
I think based on the report that we pull from SurveyMonkey, the kind of more easy to read visually.
Well, Excel's got a lot of tools in
graphics.
it as well, and you said, what I think I heard you say is that it drops an Excel file for you. That's what it'll do.
It just depends on how you want to present the data
Right,
to the
yeah.
community, so.
I like the pie chart, just have the question, pie chart,
Right.
list, leave it at that.
Smoking, non-smoking. All that. All right. Okay. So, I think what I'm hearing, I wanted to bring this up, that we are going to have a survey subcommittee. I want you all to think about being on it. You don't have, it sounds like that Brian has got interest in it. Let's not create it yet.
With the understanding of my limited ability to contribute, yes.
I think that that's the understanding whenever you join this committee. So, we're all kind of in that limited category. So,
Because I've agreed to participate in a trees subcommittee, the next item, I would probably not be able to serve on the survey analysis subcommittee, but as a committee of a whole, it sounds like that's the way we're
all
going to go.
right. Okay. Okay. All right. Maybe Duke and Tom will want to join. We'll see.
It's also possible that you could take half the survey, let 3 people tackle that, take the other half of the survey, the other 3 people could tackle that. That way there's sort of 2 subcommittees covering the whole thing.
Okay. Maybe so. Yeah. Let's see what we get. And, all right. We done with this item, I think? All right. Let's move on to agenda item number 6. We had talked about the creation last week, or last meeting, of a trees subcommittee. And I think that it will, we recognize that it would be Alex taking a leadership position in this,
Sure.
and Jay, and then myself being on this committee, but we never formalized it. And I think that folks want to see us do it that way. So I need them.
Well, and Jeff wasn't here for that, and he's not here again. And Jeff,
He was here whenever we talked about a tree subcommittee.
I think he had just left. Because it was towards the very end and we were running out of time.
Well, I can't say for sure. I don't remember.
Yeah. But I was going to suggest, no offense, but maybe Jay and Jeff and I could potentially take that if he's interested. So I would rather wait until Jeff or Duke are here to weigh in on
Okay.
joining us potentially.
Yeah. Since you're leading the effort, that's fine.
Okay.
You can have it your way. So we'll just table this until next time. While we're on the subject, though, is there anything you would like to say with regard to the tree subcommittee?
Well, I think I saw some language somewhere that I liked that talked about more about tree maintenance
Yeah.
and a strategy for that. Rather, I don't want to approach it as tackling the tree ordinance. Like, I think of that as something somewhat separate, and so I think until we get through the survey and all of those things, that there are some front-end things that we could look at and talk about, just regard to kind of tree health and
Okay.
policy in the neighborhood.
During the past week, I did get in contact with the wildfire safety people for Travis County
Mm-hmm.
and asked if they had anything in the can to do by way of a presentation that could be done here, having to do with tree planting and
Mm-hmm.
logic around it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and how that weighs in with wildfire safety and so on.
Mm-hmm.
They said they're in. Yeah, they'll come.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think any information is good information. So I'm not, okay, so we'll pick a meeting and they can come and they can make a presentation as to what it is they think is happening with regard to climate change and how that's going to impact us and what we ought to be thinking about in terms of trees.
As I understand it, then a subcommittee needs to be held to 3 members so that you can meet out of session.
Correct.
That's right. Up to 3 members.
If you end up, finding someone else you'd rather have on the subcommittee, I'm fine, and I can work on something else.
No,
So-
I would be thrilled to work with you. I
Okay.
think that Dave has, as the chair, his plate is pretty full, so I think
Right.
that, and I know that Jeff has had a lot of input on trees and emails before this committee, and I think he's had a lot of good ideas. I read his email kind of after the fact, and so I'd like to see how he feels about it, and I think it would be great to have you on there. So I'm not trying to kick Dave off.
I'm not offended at all.
Okay.
All right, okay. So we're gonna table this until next meeting. Okay. Moving along to item number 7, discussion on aesthetic considerations. There was, why did I put this here? There was some discussion, and I think it came from Brian, about can we make it so that people, what was it?
My comment that
Yeah.
I emailed to you for
That's
possible
right.
posting of an item, and you chose to put it in the terms of this aesthetic considerations, was really about the super high slabs
Right,
that I think are an eyesore.
right.
And
Thank you.
one of the things that I would just like to throw out on the table for consideration, and not any action right now, but ultimately perhaps for consideration about putting in the building ordinance, is that somebody can build a super high slab, we're not gonna stop that. But at least either bring your materials down to the ground that are the siding materials on the residence above,
Yeah,
or in some way treat the slab by paint or something to make it something other than a gray concrete monstrosity.
right.
Or terracing to kind of
Yeah,
Bring the
plus,
scale
my
up to it.
recommendation that I wrote today to consider on this, and it was requiring at least 50% coverage of some kind of shrubbery in front of it, or something of the sort. And I don't know really, Dave, I'm new on the commission, we just got sworn at. And Jay and I, and so I don't know if this is really within our area of responsibility, but if it is, if making recommendations for adjustments and additions or tweaks to our building code, I'd like that one to be considered.
Yeah, the reason why I put it in here like aesthetics, more of a general term, is that we do have precedent in the code that has to do with if you have, like for instance, a detention wall on your property, it needs to match whatever else kind of features are on your property. It can't stick out. I think it's true if you have an outbuilding, if you have a secondary building of some sort. It's supposed to be something that complements or is in line with the architecture or the look of the house that it is secondary, and that's in the code. So what you're suggesting with regard to ensuring that a slab, or the portion of the slab that's exposed matches something or looks, I don't think that's out of joint at all. I think it's a good thing.
There's a little bit of text in the survey regarding foundation height,
Yeah,
I believe.
But just about
Briefly.
the fact of foundation height.
Yeah,
as
we had to
opposed
keep
what
it
do you
pretty
do with the super
general.
high
Yeah.
walls.
Well, because we couldn't really talk about that yet, but I
I
do think
agree.
it's
I
it's
agree.
Yeah.
a good point of discussion for
There-
sure, and relevant.
there's a lot of stuff, as I understand it, there's a lot of stuff we're not allowed to do. Whenever you talk about aesthetics, there's a lot, you can't tell people, what color house they can paint, or all that, they can't get into that.
That's right.
Yeah.
The state law prohibits
Right,
Dickey from saying every house has to be red brick.
yeah,
We cannot, as a city, and no city in the state can
right.
mandate exterior materials.
But I think we do have some latitude.
But I think we have some latitude to say,
Yeah.
okay, pick your red brick, pick your orange brick, pick your stucco, pick whatever you damn well please, but at least make that big concrete wall a consistent feature of the, and put some trees and shrubbery in front of it. I think we have that ability. And at the proper point, I'd like to raise that and see if I can move that down the road. And I don't know if that's part of this committee's, ultimate recommendations to council. We'll see what we get back from the survey and what we decide to do.
I think I think we have broad latitude to make recommendations to city council. You know, there are a lot of things, just because the survey doesn't ask something like that specifically, it doesn't mean that it's not something that we shouldn't be talking about.
I agree. And this
You
is
know?
under the category of we all ought to be looking, and frankly, those of us who walked and put out, cards over the weekend, got to see a lot of, I frankly hadn't seen parts of the city that I walked in a long time, and I was surprised to see the number of buildings under construction and some of the architecture, and so we all need to, I need to, okay, I won't speak to everybody, I need to do more of that walking around the city and figure out what it is I like and what I don't like.
There you go.
But it's that subjective. What do you like? What do you don't like? And then within the bounds of what the law allows us to do, and what the politics of the city council, whether they want to fall on their sword over something like this, will.
I don't want to get off track too much, but I did have one really interesting conversation with a person who lives on Brett Cove, and that there's been a lot of discussion about a house that is on Park Hills at the bottom of the valley that, to a large extent, is probably the reason why we're even here. And the comparisons between that house and the one on Brett Cove, which is almost of equal size, but it sits on the lot differently. And that person who I spoke with was concerned that that there were a number of people that were thinking bad things about them, about the way they had built that house. And I said, actually, on the contrary, your house is actually being used as a model for building a large house properly on the lot and have it situated the way that it needs to be in order for it to be interesting and aesthetically pleasing. And she was delighted to hear this. So just so you know, I mean, aesthetics comes into it. You know, there's
It does.
yeah,
It does.
yeah, and you
Aren't
know,
foundation heights somewhat will be limited by the building heights that we're talking about in the survey? I mean,
Well,
unless
the
you're
building
gonna have
height,
a single
the building
story
height
on
is
top.
irrelevant. You don't measure the building height from the top of the slab. But it seems to me that some of the houses that are being built, you could look at them and wonder whether that was the way the building height was
yeah.
figured.
It's possible that if you revamp how we measure height and the reference datum, that you might end up with a situation where you really can't do that. Because right now you could have basically a 10-foot foundation wall and then still build on top of that 35 feet. And if you were to change the rule, one example would be a sort of sliding 35-foot rule. So if your slope is
Yeah,
this,
that's one of the questions.
yeah, your house would have to, nothing could be above 35
Do you have a horizontal plane or
feet.
do you have a sloping plane? as
I
your-
mean,
as your-
A good architect would terrace the house instead of have something massively rising on the low end out of it,
Builder
it would
trying to maximize square
take it
footage or
back.
views would not agree with you.
Exactly. So, and there are foundations that seemed tall when under construction, but once the house goes in place and you can see different parts and scales of the pieces around it, you don't see the foundation anymore. And they might even be doing planters that terrace up, that follow the grade, and the whole thing is
You're
more
correct.
harmonious than
You're
you
correct.
might.
And my
Yeah.
criticism is mostly of things I have seen that are under construction, and a lot of attention to the landscaping would mitigate what I had to.
It
my
had to go a
concerns.
long way.
Well,
Some of them.
and to that, let's put a pin in that, and we'll come back. We'll have an opportunity to come back to all this.
I understand.
Yeah,
I just
and-
wanted to kind of
And I think it's
toss
great.
that out as something that
You bet.
that I have concerns about.
Okay.
And I think that with materials or color and landscaping, we have the tools to deal with it if we decided to do so.
There,
It's-
if,
It's not I'm offering a problem without a solution, I'm
Right.
trying to offer a solution and the problem.
if-
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Let me just say one thing about what happened here is that according to our guiding processes, anybody in this committee can add a topic to what it is we're considering. It doesn't have to be necessarily voted in. So that was a good example of it. Now, we're not gonna just note that topic right now, but whenever the time comes, we can bring that back up.
Okay,
Okay? So that is, item 7 is completed, I think. We finished? Let's move on to item number 8, update, discussion, and possible action regarding the CRCRC process document, which is the thing that I put on each of your spaces here. If you'll look at the document, it goes into a lot of detail around where we get to with regard to getting a survey out, and then the detail starts to fall off a bit because we're not to the next thing yet.
well.
Because we're not even looking at the next thing yet.
I'm looking at this, it looks to me like we're at number 9. We tried to do that today.
That's kind of like that, yeah, we're kind of there. And something that Jay said the other day that has got me thinking. And he made the comment about, are we going to report to City Council on where we are, or what our findings are so far? And it's not on this document. That's not part of what has been talked, well, not part of what I wrote down. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. It just means that maybe we ought to be talking about, okay, what kinds of details are missing in this, and maybe we should be thinking about how we report out. I was at the last city council meeting, and I guess I had the opportunity to ask the folks whether or not they wanted to hear what our progress is, but I didn't. I was involved with other things. But we could ask them as to what kinds of updates they would like to see. There's a part of all city council meetings that kind of hangs on to the end where there are different reports by different organizations, including the police department and other places. And we could actually have a report that goes into that really won't get discussed during a city council meeting. But I'm open. Well, we've actually got a city council member here. May I ask this city council member whether or not there would be interest from city council on knowing how we're doing or what we're finding out?
Hi, Phil McDuffie, 4711 Timberline. It might be interesting. I think, most of those reports that we get are some form of Excel spreadsheet breakdown, statistics, numbers. I don't know if that would be terribly pertinent at this stage or at any stage. I think we're trying to allow this committee to be as independent as possible, and then come to us with findings near the end. So I think, putting out preliminary statistics on what's being found and stuff like that, just my personal preference, I don't think it'd be terribly useful prior, but I'm only one member, so.
All right.
Well, and I do think that we're into almost November, and we were supposed to be kind of wrapped up in October. And so to the extent that we would be giving reports and feedback and so forth, I mean, my take on it is as soon as we get the survey, heads down, let's crank out as much stuff as we can and pass it to P&Z, right, and the council.
Well,
I mean,
my preference is to get to the public.
Well,
Not
that's
to-
part
not-
of the,
yeah, not to-
yes,
yeah.
yes.
is to
yeah.
get it back out to the public and
Right.
let them know. And,
Yeah.
and my view is, if P and Z and City Council knows that we're doing that, then they'll know that we're doing our job.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
But city council people should have gotten a postcard this weekend to
They-
know that we've got the survey out.
That's
and
right.
We're working on that.
That's
So
right.
I don't know what more of an update we need to do immediately with respect to that. I think that you're correct that the next step is for us to work with the results for a little bit and get them out. And again, if we get them out to the public or the council is people, they live in this community.
Right. They can come out to the council, to the
They'll-
community
they'll
things,
get it.
whatever it is we
They'll
do.
get the data. If
Right.
that's the way we want to
Okay.
present it it's to the council, or excuse me, to the public, the council will get it. And if they've got questions, they can call us in to talk.
Okay.
I would wonder if the council, though, wouldn't want some simple statement at the end of the survey when we've compiled the results of how many surveys were completed.
Right.
Something, what, did they get their money's worth? In other words, I mean, the council appropriated funds for this activity, and it seemed good to get some feedback on how successful we've been.
Would that be part of what you're proposing to get to the public, which my point is that also gets to the council members?
It certainly could be, you know.
Yeah, I think that's, you know,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
the
we
report
could-
ought
we
to
could
start
put it
with.
in- it could be
We
part of
put
the
out a
package,
survey,
yeah.
We got
Yeah.
225 responses. We're in the process of analyzing. We've got a spreadsheet of the quick stuff, and we're working on the other stuff. So.
Yeah.
But if we put that out in the public, the council's gonna get it.
Right, okay.
But yeah, I think we should get them some relatively fast.
Okay.
I think we can. Okay.
So, getting back to this thing, I don't actually have I've got a thing in here about posted sessions and public review and block meetings and stuff, and it's just kind of item number 10 here on this guiding process. That's my intention, is to ensure that we get out there to the public in multiple ways and tell them what it is we're seeing. I think at our next meeting, I think we want to formalize exactly, and actually maybe get some dates together for when we're going to do that. Our next meeting should be after the survey is completed.
And we'll, I suppose we'll have what Sarah said, we'll have some basic spreadsheet data at that.
We'll have something, yeah.
Okay.
But given that we're 2 weeks apart all the time, right? I would
Yeah.
like to, at that point, in our next meeting, set up a time where we're going to do some sort of a public activity that talks about what we have heard so far, or our understanding of what the public has said.
I think that just happens here. I mean,
So you're gonna,
I just think that we present the information here, you know? I mean, we went to a lot of effort before and nobody showed up. And
Right.
so it's kind of, I think we did our part to bring it to everybody, but at some point they're gonna have to come to us because we all have, I
You-
mean, I think that's what this meeting is about. It's always a public forum. We'll present it here. If you want to weigh in on what we've done, then come here, but that's my opinion.
I have a saying, the dog barks louder as you get closer to the gate.
Yeah. People may start showing up.
People may start to show up.
Yeah. And that's fine, but I don't think that we need to go have cul-de-sac poster sessions, which was, I think, one of your suggestions.
I want to do that.
we'll do it.
I mean, I might be by myself out there, but I do want to do it.
Okay.
I want to see if that works. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I was up at the, when we had the Rolling Wood Night Out thing, and we had a table set up, and we had some posters there. I didn't talk to a whole lot of people, but I did talk to some,
Uh-huh.
and I thought it was useful. And they had good questions about what we were doing.
Yeah.
So, it's, glass half full kind of thing, but you know, I would do it again. It was good enough that I would do it again.
Okay.
All right, anyway, that's what's coming up next time. I'm gonna be asking, okay? And I don't really have anything more I wanna say about it, any of this yet.
Okay.
Okay, unless
Does that
anybody else wants
cover
to.
also-
But if you would take a look at this thing whenever you go home, or think about, you know, what's coming up next and all that, and you've got suggestions for how. Here's one of the things, this is probably the big question. You know, I'm on this committee and I'm on P and Z. And the way that it has worked so far with the comprehensive plan is that the comprehensive plan committee has continued to work on the information that they've collected from the public to put together very specific recommendations that are then going to go to P and Z and then on to City Council. In other words, they're effectively working with somebody to write the code changes. They are doing it, okay? We could do the same thing. Now, they've been working on this for 3 years. We could be in the same situation. We could do the same thing they're doing and work with, you know, some lawyer or whatever, planner, to put together different recommendations in code format before it goes to P and Z. Or we could take our more general recommendations to P and Z and have P and Z work on it to get the refinements. And we don't have to answer this question now, but I don't like what I see on the other side so far. I think it's going too slow.
Yeah,
And-
3 years is too long to
Yeah.
get something done.
You know, and what we're doing, I think, is far more difficult than what they're doing. So, I want you to be thinking about how we're going to be going, what the next stuff, how do we get this stuff out the door in a way that it can be digested and used? How far do we, as this committee, go with regard to making our report?
Well, I think we do our report, and we look at our report and see, my feeling, Dave,
Yeah.
is that we look at it and see, make a quick judgment as to the politics involved. And at that point, either in a formal or informal way, talk to our city council people, because they are the ultimate arbiters of how much how much politics is going to be tolerated, how much political capital expended on whatever we come up with. And so I don't think we should, in my opinion, pursue drafting anything or good and formal with P and Z before we hold a finger up in the air and find out whether there's an appetite for taking it on. I don't know why the other group has taken 3 years. I haven't followed what they're doing at all.
I don't either. I don't know.
I agree. I think that maybe what we do is we have more of a rough draft set of ideas or proposals that we think we've heard, and then we pass that along and say, okay, we're gonna go back and work on the things that you think.
Yeah, it has to be it has to be an iterative process, but it's not just an administrative process. It's a political process.
Yeah. I kind of agree.
I think Desiree has something to say.
I was waiting to be recognized.
Okay.
Just in reading through your bylaws, it looks like your authority is to submit recommendations to the Planning and Zoning Commission,
Mhm.
get approval there, and then prior to bringing those recommendations to City Council. Once City Council then approves the recommendations they agree to or want, that is the point at which I believe you would start working on actual code language, because that's what takes a really long time.
I purposely used the word endorsed for P and Z in that. An endorsement
You're
is
right.
not quite the same as approval.
We'll obtain
It's more or less a
endorsement.
thing that says, yeah, you can move forward with this. It doesn't necessarily mean we approve it, but it's baked enough for you to go on to the next thing.
And that's correct,
Um,
it does say endorsement.
And,
But my point was, you don't have to have code written
No.
to get to P and Z and to get to City Council. You want to have the recommendations
Yeah.
laid out. And then it has to be endorsed by P and Z before going to City Council. And then, once City Council approves those recommendations, that's when you'd start working with the planner to,
Yeah, but should that
Right,
be
code.
us or should that be P and Z or whoever? You know, whenever that second part that you just described, when that happens, is that us? Or is it P and Z or some other group that does it?
city council can decide that, because that will be a cost.
Yes, it will be a cost, yeah, it'll be a cost. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know if
okay,
that
and-
was helpful, but in
Yeah.
looking at the bylaws, it pretty much lays out the duties
Yeah.
pretty strictly on that, and there's not writing code in the
Right.
CRCRC's.
Yeah. Well, my point in
Authority.
bringing all this up is that I want to be thinking far enough ahead on these things that, you know, we're not caught without having thought about it. You know, that we do think we know where we want to go with this and how far we want to go with it, so. Okay, and your points are all well taken, it's fine, yeah.
My points are that I'm going to have to leave before too long, and that's gonna break a quorum because we don't have Duke
Me
and we
too.
don't have.
All right, well, we're doing pretty well here, Brian. Okay.
Because I've got university things that I'm committed to do.
Work.
It's the curse of the drinking man.
Okay, I'm trying to find my agenda here, where is it? What's the next thing?
Discussion on expectations of timeline.
Okay,
Well, I think that's what
okay.
we've been discussing, hasn't it? Timeline and
Is-
deliverables?
No, I think that, no, this was the next thing. Let's move on to item 9, which really will probably be the last one. Is that I know that there's frustration within the group that we're not going as fast as maybe we had all thought we might be going. And I'm delighted that we are at least as far as we are today. But I think that this is probably the kind of pace we need to get used to, because this is we're probably going at full speed. And for this kind of an organization and this kind of government. And it's more, this is supposed to be a pep talk, you know. We're gonna get more of this, and I hope you like it, because there's plenty coming. I don't want to be in this role in 3 years, you know, looking at this stuff. I really do. I would like to have the work that we're doing completed in 2024. And that's an expectation. That's kind of where I'm headed. That's where I try to keep it going.
2024.
It might be December. It might be December 30th. I don't know. But
It's like saying we're gonna have something done by
That's,
Friday.
yeah.
I just think we
Which of
need to
52
keep
Fridays?
in mind that new construction is gonna keep going and keep going,
Well-
and trees are gonna
and
be taken down, and so things that can shorten the whole process that still keep it, you know, intact.
Jay's point is well taken.
there's a couple of things about this. When this committee was created, when city council ordained us and said it was okay for us to do this thing, the general view was that because of just coming out of COVID, that building was going to slow down, that the boom was at least in a little bit of a hiatus, and that we would have time to knock these things out. I don't think it's working out that way. I think that we're actually looking at the restart of a boom right now. It's
If
happening.
anything has slowed things down, it's probably the rather dramatic increase in interest rates
Yes.
that have made people question whether we want to start building right now and put a whole bunch of money, particularly any of the spec builders.
Yeah. But
even a
the
homeowner-
trees are coming down. I mean, people are starting to clear lots. Things are happening.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know what's behind it or why the interest rates aren't slowing it down more than they are, but it looks like stuff's going on. So
And we do
You s-
need to do,
Yeah.
what we're gonna do, we do need to get it out there, because as I said early in the meeting, I was surprised by how much construction I saw in the areas of town that I
Yeah.
had not walked before, but walked as a result of passing out cards.
Well, one of the questions is going to be, are we going to be delivering recommendations as one big bulk set of recommendations, or are we going to trickle a few of them down so that we can get
Yes.
the high,
I don't think we know that.
the high impact recommendations
Until
done
we see
quickly.
what we're gonna get from
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do that, but but that is not the way the committee before us did.
I think we should absolutely feed items that we find are ready to send through the conveyor belt, because why slam P&Z and council with 12 topics to tackle all at once, So,
Well, part of what we're hoping to learn from the survey is the importance of things. That how important trees are to you 1 through 5? That's a great question. And we can act on that just based on the answer to that question. And I don't know what else we can act on like that, but if it turns out that, that we get a lot of 5s on that, then maybe, it's all hands on deck on trees. We just get something together.
well, and there may be a quick response on circular driveways,
Yeah.
It may be like, easy. There may be some low-hanging fruit that we can just move on.
It would be good to have a couple of quick wins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
All right, that's all I really wanted to say about it. I just wanted to, it's an expectation setting, okay? Does anybody have any agenda topics they want to bring up for next time? This would be item 10. Please feel free to send me stuff. I'm open, we'll put it on the agenda, we'll get it discussed. Thanks everybody once again for doing a great job on getting the cards out there. I think we're beginning to crawl a little faster. So,
Motion to adjourn?
so do we have a motion for adjournment?
Second.
Okay, it is 6:13.
Well, we're
Adjourn this
we're not
meeting.
gonna quit.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning?
All right.
All opposed?
Now vote with my
6:13, I officially adjourn, close this meeting down. Thanks all, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see y'all in 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
And we will be smarter and know all kinds of